So today, inshallah, we'll be talking a bit about problem solving and problem-based learning. Okay. I realize that we won't have time to introduce everybody, so I'll just quickly start with myself and then we can just do a quick introduction maybe. So my name is Feroz Kaladen. I'm basically working in the College of Medicine. I'm basically a dermatologist, but also with an interest in medical education. And our college for the last, I think, 6 years now, we've been doing a problem-based curriculum. So we have some experience in that. And me and some people like Dr. Gosai over here, sir, can you, we are all involved in the faculty development also. So we do a bit of these workshops off and on. Can you just tell me the colleges you're from? So College of Medicine, how many people do we have? Okay. And half the group here is from College of Medicine. Okay. Engineering? Okay. Computer Science? Okay. College of Science? Arts? Okay. Applied Sciences? Okay. And anybody I missed out? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Clinical pharmacy? Yes. Thank you. And here, anybody who missed? Pardon? Agriculture. Okay. Thank you. How many of you are married? Someone, they're not lifting up properly. There are still some unmarried lucky people, or? I should have asked that first. Okay. Okay. Now, why I asked that is, it is said that if you are married and you have at least one child, then you don't need this lecture. I'm sure you must be doing a lot of problem solving by yourself. If you have more than one wife, you should be taking the lecture. Now, the second disclaimer is, I've been attending the sessions for the last week also, and one thing we realized is that there are a lot of topics which are overlapping. And you will find that some of the topics which we discussed here are also some things which probably have been discussed previously in last week. So what we have done is we have modified the presentation a bit, and we have tried to focus on areas which are of more practical importance, which you can, inshallah, use in your teaching directly. So there's a bit of a change based on the overlap which we noticed last week. Yes? Oh, it's covering the thing? Okay. Better? Better or? Okay. And the second thing is, I'm sure there are a lot of people here who have a background in problem-based learning. So please feel free to share your experiences. Okay. In fact, I'm sure that the people who are probably doing much more work in PBL, so it would be great to get your inputs also. It's a very light interactive session. Please feel free to stop me at any stage. So what will we do today? Yeah, that's in the long run, but before that, what will we do? I'd just like to know what your expectations are. What do you think you hope to achieve from this workshop?
We expect to learn something new.
Okay.
To our classes.
Thank you. Any specific area you're looking for? Thank you. Any other expectations? Dr. Abdullah has no expectations.
Number 4 workshop.
Yes, sir. True. Yeah. So you want to gain some more of interaction. That would be the aim. Yes. Anything else?
I wanted to know whether problem-solving learning and problem-based learning are the same thing or they are different.
Okay. So you want to know whether problem-based learning and problem-solving is the same, although they're usually used to mean the same in many contexts. Okay. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Ladies? Yes.
I'm expecting to explore this problem.
The main objectives which we thought of, number one is I think what you were talking about, Dr. Nishad. The terms problem-based learning and problem-solving are often used interchangeably, but actually there are subtle differences, so they're not exactly the same. So we'll try to discuss how it's different and how it's common. That's one thing. And the second, of course, is what you mentioned. So how can I use these approaches in my teaching? So how can I practically use these things? So these are the two main things which we'll talk about. My suggestion is don't look into that handout, because like I said, we have modified it based on this overlap issues. So it's slightly different. So I think the presentation itself should be what you need to focus on. Okay. Anybody from mathematics? Nobody? Anybody teaching mathematics over here? Okay, one person. So you need to keep quiet. Okay, let the others do it. So we'll start with the problem. And the problem is, can you prove 1 is equal to 2? Can you prove 1 is equal to 2?
It depends what's one.
Agreed.
If we are calling a one family, means man and his wife.
Okay, so it could mean that what exactly the criteria to call 1 and 2. Agreed. Any other opinion? Just before that, Dr. Joel, can you just look at the time, so that at 10 o'clock we finish for break. The breaks probably are more important. So we'll need to just keep an eye on the time. Okay. Can you see this, everybody? Can you see the chart? Okay. So assuming that A is equal to B, so A square is equal to AB. Okay, so far? Okay. So A square minus B square will be equal to AB minus B square. You're just subtracting B square from both sides. Is there any other way you can write A square minus B square? Perfect. So you can write it as A minus B into A plus B. Can you simplify this? So you can bring out the B outside. Okay, now can you cancel something? Okay, perfect. But we said that A is equal to B, right? So this is actually B plus B is equal to B. So 2B is equal to B. You cancel out the B. Perfect? Yes, sir. Why can you not simplify it? Okay, perfect. Any other comments? So our friend, what was his name, sir? Abdus Salam. Dr. Abdus Salam said that one of the issues is that you cannot really cancel 0 because A minus B is 0. Yes, yeah. Yeah.
A plus B, okay, A equals B.
Mm-hmm.
A square equals, I can see.
A square is equal to AB.
AB.
So you are multiplying by A on both sides. So here it becomes A square, here it becomes AB. Okay. Okay. So the first thing we try to do is solve the problem. And when we solve a problem, the first thing we try to do is we try to define the problem. We brainstorm on possible solutions if there is a solution. So that's where the point which you raised is very valid. You need the criteria and whether this can actually be solved at all. That's one step. You think of possible strategies, you apply it, and then you go back and you reflect whether it works or not. Okay. But also here you learned something. For people who are not aware that A square minus B square can also be written as A plus B into A minus B, there was some learning. When you just solve the problem, we call it problem solving. An example is that, if you have a clinical case in medicine and the student is asked to make a diagnosis based on the features, so that would be simple problem solving. But if the case is a bit open-ended and you are learning from it, some things which you don't know, you may find that based on the case there are some things which are not clear, some objectives which are not really things which you know. You go back, you learn. That is called problem-based learning. So problem solving is slightly different from problem-based learning. Is it clear or? Yeah. So what we said is, you have a problem. Okay. And the example which he said is a clinical case, for example. We give students a brief history, some of the features, and we ask the students, can you make a diagnosis? Okay. That would be simple problem solving. You try to solve a problem. That's it. Okay. But many times we give the students not a simple case. We give a few features. The students work on it. They realize that the information they have is not enough for that case. So they go back, they study, they come back, then they work on it. Okay. So there is actually learning based on the problem. And that is what is the essence of what we call problem-based learning. Okay. You are using a problem to trigger learning. Somewhat clear, or it should be more clear as we go along. So, which is why the definition of problem-based learning itself, there are many definitions, but the most common one is something by Barrows, which says that PBL, problem-based learning, is a learning method based on the principle of using problems as a starting point for the acquisition and integration of knowledge. So, using problems as a trigger to learn. That is problem-based learning. Well, problem solving is you are solving a problem. Okay. Slightly different. Why problem-based learning? You know, from the 1960s, 1950s, there has been a huge spurt in the use of PBL, especially in medical colleges. Why do you think there is so much hype about PBL? Any comments, inputs you would like to put? On the ladies' side, anything? The question is, why do you think PBL is getting so much importance? Is there any reason? Yeah.
Yeah, I think because life is becoming complicated.
Okay.
Problems.
So there are a lot of problems in our real life situations, and PBL probably equips them better to deal with that. Thank you. Anything else? It stimulates learning, especially active learning is supposed to be stimulated by PBL. So one thing is, you know, they often say that, you know, when we ask the market about our products, the students, they often say that knowledge-wise they're okay, but in terms of application and soft skills, there's a gap. So that's one area which probably PBL addresses better as compared to the traditional learning. So before, like when we were students, for example, our focus was always on knowledge and a bit of skills. But now we also talk a lot about what we call attitudes, the affective domain. And this combination of all these three is what we call a competency. So now we are shifting from what we call the knowledge-based learning to competency-based education. And one of the key tools for that is the PBL. Also, it is said that adults learn a bit different from children. Classical teaching is called pedagogy. Peda means child, ego means to guide. Nowadays, we have a concept of something called andragogy. Andragogy is adult learning. And the reason why this is coming up is because many scientists feel that adults learn a bit different from children. How do you think they're different from children? Yes, sir.
Maybe by experience.
So that's one thing which is often said, that adults tend to build upon experience. So you have an experience, they tend to learn from it, they build more upon it. So learning from experience is more common in adults. Any other difference? Right. So it is the other way is also true, that you cannot erase the skills which they have already learned. Okay. Thank you. Yes, sir.
They will only learn if they face any problem or any issues to solve.
Absolutely. So the context of learning is very important for an adult. A child will, you know, if you tell them 1 + 1 is 1, they learn it. But for the adult, he needs to know why I am learning it. It needs to be relevant. It needs to be practical, of something which he or she is going to use actually. So more of internal motivation, autonomy, self-direction. They are goal-oriented, relevance-oriented, and they are more practical and problem-oriented, and they tend to learn from experience. Okay. And we have an esteemed faculty over here who says that all the L in the learning should be silent. The idea, what he's trying to say is that what is more important is the earning experience, not the learning experience. Okay. So all L's to be silent. Okay. Next question. So we have a lot of hype about PBL, but the issue is, does that mean a curriculum which is based on problem-based learning, the students are more knowledgeable? So is knowledge better in a PBL curriculum as compared to a traditional curriculum? What do you think? Yes, no, maybe? Assalamu alaikum.
Knowledge-wise, those who are learning the problem-based learning, they are relatively less as compared to those who have been taught by the traditional.
Okay, so you feel that they're actually slightly less compared to the traditional curriculum.
They are getting more knowledge from the one who is presenting to them a lecture or whatever. But in problem-based learning, they may be more beneficial when they go into practical life, but knowledge-wise, I think relatively less.
Okay. So one, yeah.
Problem-based learning, the retention of knowledge would be better
Okay.
as compared to traditional.
So you feel that knowledge itself,
Layered, yeah, exactly.
so content might be less, but what they have is retained much deeper.
Might be less, it might not be less even, but the retention will be better.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
We can't hear actually. I just mentioned that we cannot hear what they're saying. We want to act on knowledge from discussion.
Okay, you're not here. Okay, I don't. We would probably need a mic extra. Okay. We'll try to get a mic. Okay. Anything else? So, from the ladies. Yes.
I think this would be the same. The only difference is the way you introduce it and deal with it.
Okay. So you feel that knowledge is more or less the same, but the way of transmitting it is what is different. Thank you. Yeah.
In traditional, the curriculum is already prepared, but in solving curriculum is the student or the learner share or be part of the curriculum.
Okay. So does that improve the knowledge, or does that not make it does? So you feel that probably does improve the knowledge. Yes. Anything else? Okay. Yeah.
It is meant to improve the knowledge, but whether it does or not,
Okay.
we are yet to know.
Okay. Is that from the College of Medicine
Based on
experience?
based on experience.
Okay. Right. Okay. So research has shown. Yes, sir. Pardon? Yeah, so that's why I'm coming to the research part of it. So research has actually shown that there is no difference in the knowledge. It does not prove that PBL has better knowledge as compared to traditional curriculum. That's what research evidence shows. But what it does show is that students who have gone through a PBL curriculum tend to have better soft skills. They tend to be more active learners. Their knowledge tends to be deep. So that's the point probably which we are talking about. What they know, they tend to retain better. So the learning is more deep. They tend to be more self-directed, independent, lifelong learners, and the other generic skills like working in a team, leadership, collaboration, all those skills are much better in a PBL curriculum as compared to the normal curriculum. So knowledge, actually we don't have any evidence that the knowledge is better as of now. Probably we'll need more studies, more meta-analysis, but as of now there is no evidence to say that the knowledge is better in a PBL curriculum. And how does the PBL curriculum achieve this? It is said that it achieves it through 3 C's. First C is what we call contextual learning. So if you see the problems in a problem-based curriculum, you'll find that almost all the problems are real life-like. So they actually simulate situations which the students are likely to face in the future. And this is what we call contextual learning. So number 1, PBL is contextual. An example is, when we were in our undergraduate times, this was one of the charts which we had to mug up. And it's quite difficult to mug it up. This is a synthesis of melanin. Melanin is the pigment which gives us the color, the black color. And the steps were complicated. We just used to mug it up one day and the next day we used to forget it. Okay. But suppose you put it in context and you tell the student that why we are learning this is because in the future you might get patients who have issues with pigmentation. And yeah, slide. Okay. And when you treat such a patient, you can target any one of those steps in the synthesis. That puts the whole thing in context. It makes them understand it better. So that is one example of contextual learning. So always the PBL thing is contextual. You always tell them that, okay, where you're going to apply it, how it's going to work out in your future life. Okay. So contextual learning. And also it is said to be constructive, which means that what you study in the first year is used as the base to develop on the second year. So you are constructing the knowledge gradually. The first year is like the foundation on which you are building upon the future. So it is contextual, it is constructive. Now, since people might have started getting sleepy already, a small exercise, it will be an actual exercise. So what you do is, you are familiar with arm wrestling, right? So you go to the person next to you and you have to wrestle. Clear? Clear or I think Dr. Noshad will demonstrate. How to
It's clear, but how it is linked?
we will show you. We'll show you how it's linked. Okay. So the rules are quite simple. You have to hold the hand of the person next to you, and you have to wrestle it. Wrestle, normal wrestling, arm wrestling. See, we have some experts over here. Okay, perfect. If somebody is free, colors no problem. But if you have somebody in the next, this you can do it. Okay. Nobody is doing it. No, it's not started. We'll tell you the rules. So the rules are pretty simple. You have 1 minute. Each time you bring your opponent's hand down, you get a point. Okay? And the winner has got gifts. It's a pen. Again, the rule is when we say start, you will start doing it. Each time your opponent's hand touches the table, you get a point. Clear? Any table, wherever you're putting it. Okay. No, we are starting now. Sorry. No, we need to count it to see who's the winner. Okay, ready? Okay. You don't want to do it? He's watching? Okay. Okay. Okay, ready? Your time starts now. We have a strong competition over there. We already made the deal. Okay, we'll come to you. We'll come to you. What about here? Finished? Okay. Okay, so how many people scored 1 point? 1 point. 2 points. 3. No 3s over here. 3 over here. Okay. 4. No 4. So 1, 3 and nobody else, right? Okay, so we have 2 winners over here. Thank you. It's for you and this for you. Pardon? There was one more over here? Okay. Now, what was the moral of the story? So somebody asked, what is the link? Here you go. Because the third C in PBL is collaborative learning. Now, we said somebody had a deal. What was the deal?
Deal was that you will lose and I will get the pen and I will give it to him.
So that was the simplest way. The simplest way when you do this is that make a deal with the other person and you let the other person lose or you lose. So you can do it almost 5 or 6 times in a minute. Okay, and that's the way you win it. Okay. Yeah, fine. It is not very ethical, but it's just a game. So that is also a skill. So I think they deserve the first prize. So that is what we call collaborative learning. And even practically, you will find that when the students do it in the small group, even if you are a very knowledgeable student, you sometimes need to go down a bit so that the other person can also talk. Everybody gets a chance to discuss. Okay. And it is said that collaborative learning improves a lot of generic skills, team building, leadership, communication, and so on. So that is the third C in PBL.